Hello and welcome back to Baking on a Budget. Now today we're going to make a recipe which is the key to thousands of other recipes really. This is shortcrust pastry. This is a traditional shortcrust pastry we're going to make. Very simple to make, very easy pastry, but there are some steps you must follow. First of all, let me go through the ingredients. We are going to use 220 grams of plain flour, which will cost 12 pence. There's 55 grams of unsalted butter at 38 pence. There's 55 grams of lard at 11 pence, a pinch of salt and 3 tablespoons of cold water, which we can't really cost. So the total cost of this recipe is 62 pence. And with these measurements, we'll certainly have enough to make a 10-inch flan, pastry case, make a series of small pies, jam tarts, many things you can do with this recipe. But the first thing to do is to get the recipe right first. Now, here we go. One of the main things about making shortcrust pastry is temperature. All of the fats and the water want to be kept nice and cold. So that best to put them in the fridge beforehand, just before you use them, take them out, then start using them. It's the chilled factor which will make the difference to this pastry. Here we have the 220 grams of plain flour in the bowl. Just going to put a pinch of salt in there. Then we have the fats, 55 grams of lard, going to put that in there, and 55 grams of unsalted butter. That's going in there as well. The idea here is that it's half the fat to the amount of flour. So if you're making a greater amount of flour, if you wanted to make some pies or something like this, some plate pies, and if you need a little bit more of the flour, then the rule of thumb is you want double the amount of flour to fat. So in here, as I say, we have 220 plain flour and 110 of the fat. Now the idea is we just want to rub this in. This can be done with a food processor, and it's probably best done with a food processor because it will stay cooler than that. Obviously the transfer of heat from your fingers to the material here will make some difference, but we just want to do that quickly as we can really. Work out all of these little pieces of fat, work them into the flour. The reason I'm not doing this with a food processor is that I don't actually have one, and I just wanted to show that it is possible to make this recipe and make pastries like this without any real expensive equipment, or without any equipment at all really. As you can see, all of the fats are now rubbed into that flour, and this is the sort of consistency. It's a very light sort of breadcrumb mix, and we just want to make sure all of the major lumps of the fat are taken out, and that's looking good to me. Now we want to add some cool water to this, or cold water actually, and I have some here, and I'm going to put in 3 tablespoons, which is not a fantastic amount. We'll see how that comes together, and if we do need a little more, we can always add a little more. Now, I'm just going to cut that in with the spoon. Again, I don't want to handle this too much. Just want to get it to come together into a pastry dough sort of thing. I can see a little bit more water. I'm going to put another tablespoon in. And once more, just cut that into the breadcrumbs. And that is just coming together there. That's looking good. Then with that, what we want to do is just turn it out onto the board. The board doesn't really need to be floured or anything at this point. We'll just make that into a circle like that. What we're going to do is put this in some cling film, and then we're going to put this back in the fridge, and it wants to stay in the fridge for at least half an hour. It could stay longer if you wish, but at least half an hour to let that cool down properly again. Right, so with many dishes that you make with a shortcrust pastry, you'd want to blind bake it first. And I'm going to do that with this very small flan casing. I've already given that a coat of lard, just to make sure that the pastry frees from it quite easily. And as soon as that pastry is ready, we're going to cut a slice of that, roll it out, put it in here and blind bake it. And then I'll show you how that comes out. Alright, the pastry has had time to cool in the fridge. So I'm going to take that back out of its cling film. And I want to cut off a piece here. I'm not going to use this whole thing, but I'm going to cut off a piece, maybe about a third of that, which will be sufficient to make a casing for this tin. Maybe need a little bit more than that actually. There we go. So I'm going to just bring that together on the board. It's quite stiff after having been in the fridge for a while. I'm going to very lightly dust this board, a little bit on the pastry, and then we have the rolling pin, and we just want to roll this out. As you can see, it may be cracking just a little here and there. That's okay, just let that go. We just want to roll this out to about 4 millimeters. That's what we want. A little bit more than that, it's still a little bit thick. Sticking a touch there, just a little bit of flour on it. Doesn't need a lot. We just want to roll that out, try to keep it even, nice and flat. And this would be obviously the same if you're making a larger flan or pie or something like that. But I'm saying that just about there, bring that round, a little bit more there, a little bit more there. That should do it. That'll fit in there nicely. Now, there's numerous ways to pick this up. One way, traditional way I suppose, is to roll it on the rolling pin, like so. Then put it over the dish and unroll it. Now, we want to sort of lift this up and gently squeeze it into the corners of the tin. And this is really just using the back of the finger. You can use a little piece of dough to press it in there if you wish. A little bit of the pastry, sorry. But that's going in there all the way around. That's looking good. Okay, now the trick is just with the back of the knife, we will cut that off. And we'll bring this back together and add it to this piece which we're saving for now. We're going to make an apple pie with this, and that will be the next video. I'm going to make a big plate apple pie, which will be beautiful. Now we want to blind bake this, and the way I'm going to do this, I've got a piece of greaseproof paper or parchment, which is a bit noisy, but we'll just scrunch that up first, so that it will go into the corners. We're going to put that in there like that, and then we have some rice. I'm going to fill this up with rice for the blind baking, and that will just keep the pastry down. Sorry, there's one thing I've forgotten to do, and that is we just want to take the fork and prong the bottom of this case just so it bakes through evenly. Rightio. So put the rice in, and as we pat that down into the corners, and that'll be good. Okay, so this is going in the oven at 180 degrees for 20 minutes. That's the first stage of that. Okay, this has had 20 minutes in the oven at this point, and what we're going to do with it is just take out the rice. And at this point, it just wants another 10 minutes in the oven just to brown the inside of it. Alright, so after a further 10 minutes, this is what the pastry case is looking like. It has risen a little there, but that's absolutely okay. Looks very nice, smells beautiful. I'm going to let it cool for a while. I'm going to turn it out, and then I'm going to make a quick dish with that. It's had a chance to cool down. and that is beautiful. It's very light in the hand. It's just got the right amount of crisp to it, and it looks absolutely delicious. I'm going to make a quick peach Melba in that. Now, once you have your case made, obviously you can do many different things with it, but as I say, what we're having today is a peach Melba. I've just got some tinned peaches here, all very nice. Now we have some raspberry sauce just to put over the peaches, like that, and then we're going to top that with some whipping cream. Okay, so there it is, Shortcrust Pastry. That's a beautiful light pastry, and with the addition of the peaches and the cream, it's going to be absolutely superb. That shortcrust pastry recipe is a traditional recipe using the lard. It just gives that extra little bit of flakiness to the pastry, I think. And that whole slab of pastry which we made there was a total of 62 pence. Now there's plenty of that left to make a pie later, and indeed in the next video I'm going to be making a sumptuous apple pie with that very pastry. So thank you very much for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please do subscribe to the channel. There'll be many more videos coming of this nature. So the last thing to do is just take a taste of this very simple pastry made into a peach Melba. That is scrumptious. One of the things with pastry is that keeping it cold. Keeping it cold is the key for the shortcrust pastry. There it is, scoffed a lot. I do hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please consider subscribing to the channel. If you've liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Try making some pastry of your own. And in the future, there'll be many other recipes which use this recipe to make pies, quiche, desserts, many different things. Thank you very much for watching.